The Toyota Crown has been a nameplate since 1955, the first Toyota to be exported to the United States in 1958. This used to be a popular vehicle amongst officials and police cars because of the luxury amenities. 4 generations, the Lexus LS replaced it, also the Corona Mark II replaced it, and that was replaced back in 1992 by the Avalon, in which we have now got the 2023 Toyota Crown Limited in magnetic gray metallic. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over all different details and specs, going through the interior to show you the different trim levels and take it for the test drive. Starting off with bi-LED headlamp assembly for the front. That's standard. This is a quad LED headlamp setup because this is the limited trim, which also will be on the platinum trim. Working into the functional part of the grille that's underneath the Toyota badging, and then the larger opening part that gives that Lexus design, but you don't have any functionality, and it runs into the satin aluminum that's going to outline the whole front with nearly 6 inches of clearance. So even though this is a sedan, you have clearance nearly the same as an SUV, which is what they were trying to do. The design keeps the Japanese heritage similar to the Prius, and I appreciate that because they're not going the Honda route in which it's a European design. 2 engine options. Both the XLE and the Limited will be a CVT with a 2.5 liter hybrid 4-cylinder engine producing 236 horsepower. When you option the Platinum, you unlock 340 horsepower with a 2.4 liter turbocharged hybrid engine. All trims, standard all-wheel drive, 3 electric motors, standard 19-inch wheels is what we have on this with an optional 21-inch, 10-spoke dark metallic alloy wheel for the Limited, and a 21-inch 10-spoke machine finish alloy wheel with black accents for the Platinum. Standard acoustic noise reduction windscreen for the driver and passenger with high solar energy absorbent glass. The Platinum will carry on with a little bit more performance besides the 6-speed automatic transmission, adaptive variable suspension, whereas the Limited and the XLE will get a McPherson strut front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension, both the front and the rear will have your coil springs and your anti-roll bars. More of a hatchback design carries on with 42 mpgs for the city, 41 mpg for the highway. When you option the Limited or Platinum, you can get a 2-tone option for your exterior paint. When you get the XLE, you're not going to be able to receive them. And the fenders and the side skirts will be in the matte black. The chrome drifts off into the gloss black with a large rear window, emphasizing cargo space with a hatchback design. The rear is going to mimic the front a bit because they have that C that's on both sides, same as the front grille, above the reverse parking sensors and a reverse camera. Standard LED tail lamps, crown badging that goes across with the Limited badging over it, with a touch of the satin aluminum that's going to run underneath the lower bumper. Push for a quick release at 15.2 cubic feet of storage. Split fold the rear bench in the back at a 40-60 split. You got some ties right here for any types of bottles or anything. Underneath the floor gets the spare tire. With the bench folded down, you have about a 4-inch lip, but it's going to extend the cargo capacity to the Crown. Going inside the all-new Crown, because it's a mixture of a SUV and a sedan together, you sit up a little bit higher, which you will notice if you take this particular car on a test drive, predominantly because they have these little pedestals that make the seats raised about 4 inches. Headroom is going to start at 38.2 inches, legroom at 42.1 inches. The Crown starts off with a lot of standard amenities. The front occupants getting power seat adjustment, 10-way for the driver, 8-way for the passenger. Heated seats will be standard, ventilated because we're in the Limited, plus the leather, otherwise it's soft tech. Memory for the driver's seat. The dashboard has a 3-tier setup with the gold wrapping into the center and the gloss black around the gauge cluster and the 12.3 touch screen. Underneath will be standard dual climate control, standard QI wireless charger, standard 2 USB-C ports, an area that you can put the key fob, driving mode select. Changing the driving mode will change the way the design is on the gauge cluster. And you can toggle through an array of information for the driver with the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, heated leather wrapped steering wheel, the push button start, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, Amazon Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot. Put it into reverse. We have a reverse camera with trajectory, more of a driver focus setup. So you'll have the L wall shape, but it's still easy to access for the passenger. Double-sided opening for the center console with a USB-C with a USB-A port and a 12-volt. Passenger can open it up on their side as well. The door panels integrate into the dash, 11-speaker JBL because this is the Limited. It's going to be more of your everyday materials except for where it needs to be. One touch up and down for all the windows and a medium-sized storage pocket that you can fit a couple of beverages with a large pano moonroof. For the back seat, headroom is going to be a little bit tight if you're going to the sides, whichever side you are behind the passenger or driver, but it is carved out at 37.5 inches. So you have a sufficient amount as long as you kind of recline a little bit and relax. Leg space at 38.9 inches. 2 USB-C ports with the air vent, storage behind both of the front seats. The JBL comes into the back. Same pattern design as the front, so every day, soft where it needs to be. Heated rear seats because this is the Limited trim with a beverage holder. Sitting into the center, you cannot sit like this. You have to slide down, or slouch, I should say, and then your headroom will be sufficient because of the wall that's created, that's carved out because of the large panel moonroof. When you do this position, you will be against the back of the front seats in the position I'd be sitting. Sharing butt and shoulder space, feet space will not be an issue because the rails are pushed up quite a bit. 2.5 liter, 4-cylinder hybrid, 236 horsepower, 163 pound-feet of torque, green light when this Camaro decides to go. We're not going to be able to give her a go here. Optioning the XLE in Limited will have the same power options, both paired to the CVT transmission. When you go into the Platinum, that's going to give you the turbo hybrid 340 horsepower, about 2 seconds quicker, 0 to 60, which is really the only thing that would push me to go to that level. Because in the Limited trim, you get all the amenities, and there's so many standard safety features and luxury amenities that it doesn't necessarily make too much sense unless you really want that power to go to the next level. Clearance is great. It does feel similar to an SUV in the ride. Comfort, whether you get the optional 21-inch or the standard 19-inch, I've reviewed both of them, you're going to have a pretty smooth ride for longevity. Interior noise, it's not going to be so noisy. We're going to try to see the athletic level of this vehicle. And you can see you can move in and out of lanes without too many issues. Standard lane departure, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control. I mean, you have all the amenities to basically tick the box on a daily use. Now that's going to take me to some things I like and dislike, and starting off with is what I like about the Crown. 42 mpgs and 41 mpgs is no joke. Obviously, if you option into the Platinum trim, you're not going to get as many mpgs, but you get a little bit more quickness underneath. But both two of them, I mean, you're not going to go wrong. The second thing that I like about the vehicle is the actual appearance. They kept the Japanese heritage. They didn't do like Honda going to a slope roof design or a European fastback. They still have a hatchback design look, but it still is a similar look to the Prius. Turn radius is about 2 lanes. Let's give her a go. And some brakes. Regenerative braking, 3 electric motors to make sure it's a standard all-wheel drive. The last thing that I like about the vehicle is everything is accessible for the driver and passenger, even though it's still more or less a driver setup because they got the little wall. You can still use the USB ports. You have a his and her or passenger and driver opening for the center storage, which every vehicle should do this. 3 things that I dislike about the vehicle starts off with there's not a lot of differences between the XLE and the Limited trim. Yes, you're getting heated rear seats, ventilated front seats, JBL sound system. There's a few things on the list in the two-tone and optional 21-inch wheels. It just doesn't justify me going from an XLE into a Limited unless I really want the leather trim. The second thing that I dislike is I wish they gave an option for the Limited trim to have the 2.4 turbo inline 4-cylinder hybrid engine. Only reason why is because I'm one of those guys that likes to option the more powerful variant, because 2 seconds is pretty quick when you're considering a 0 to 60 or going up onto the interstate. It's typically what happens with any vehicle that's not high performance. Once you start escalating past 60 miles per hour, it starts bogging down in performance. The last thing that I dislike about the vehicle is, for the price, they still have a lot of hard materials, and it really does mimic the Lexus line, which is fine, but it's only maybe a couple $1,000s of a savings. So would you option this or go into the Lexus? Here, the difference you're gonna get is you'll have that SUV setup because the seats are on this little pedestal. It would be nice if they did a few other things to make it set itself out of class more than the Lexus line, or give a little bit more of a discount than the Lexus. Comparing this to the Honda Accord, which was a complete refresh, the interior space of this for legroom will be more. Headroom is a little bit questionable only because of the sides. Where I'm tall, I'm still hitting the headliner in the front because of the way the seats are. I have it sit in the lowest position, but at 6'3" in this pano moonroof, they've pretty much taken about 2 to 4 inches because of the way they designed this, in which they could have raised that up a little bit more for the headliner, making it a little bit more user-friendly for people my headroom. As for technology-wise, you're about the same. You're gonna have the same amenities with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, in which both of them go about 0.2 to 0.3 miles. So they're not too bad with that. The visibility in this is a little bit better, even though the A-pillars are a little bit smaller in the Honda, just because you sit up a little bit more. For the back though, you're gonna have a little bit more blind spots, but realistically, it's not that bad because you have a lot of windows. So the real estate is filled up with more visibility than I would say in the Accord, where you do not have this large of a pano moonroof. This is going to be a longer vehicle. Cargo is almost the same. This is about 0.5 cubic feet less. But gas consumption is something that you do have to take in, because this thing is getting 41 mpgs combined. Both of them will be paired with a CVT transmission. Both of them will have the standard setup McPherson front strut suspension and multi-link rear suspension. And the only other differences I will say is it's a little bit more cleaned up in the center. Here it's a little bit more closed, but I do like how they carve out areas to make it accessible for your cell phone and for the USB charging ports. And the way the whole setup is, it's very Lexus oriented. So they did a good job giving the class for the Crown, and I appreciate that they've taking it back to that level, because you got to remember the nameplate comes back from 1955, in which this was the iconic staple for luxury for the Toyota line. I'd like to thank Stadium Toyota for giving us this 2023 Toyota Crown Limited for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the next video so you can see how the new Accord looks compared to this. The subscribe button, check out the merchandise, website, Instagram, leave a comment and a like.